Just tell us about how some of the new guys are fitting in with you.
So we got a few new guys. One, Jaheim Singletary, has been really impressive these first 4 days. Getting the defense down, he's flying around, communicating, fit in with the rest of the guys. Same with Keon Stewart, another new guy that we have. Just getting him acclimated, and he's doing a good job. Impressive player, both of those guys new. When you talk about from a freshman perspective, TJ Metcalf, he continues to impress. If you walked on the field, you wouldn't even know he's a freshman. How he communicates, how he talk. He's impressive. Also, another guy, Jalen Braxton, has been having a really good fall camp. Also, and just talking from a new guys or freshman perspective.
Singletary specifically, he was a really big time recruit when he first went to Georgia and stuff. Just looking at him, he might be your tallest defensive back. Looks like he could be the quickest feet too. I mean, just what kind of talent is he, and what does he have to do to I guess get on the field for you?
All we tell him continue to learn the defense and communicate. He's a guy. You said he's been impressive. He's to get on the field, keep doing what he's doing, getting better. Keep on elevating, right? Because if you're not getting better, you're getting worse. And over these first 4 days, he has been getting better every day. So keep on growing, and he'll be a really good player, just as you said.
Walcott missed the spring. Just what have you seen from him the first four practices of fall camp?
Another impressive guy. You can tell he's played a lot of snaps before. When he communicates, he's loud. He is confident. He flies around. He's a hitter. He can cover. Walcott L is he's a great addition. Glad to have him back.
Hudson moved from corner to safety last year, starting at safety right now in fall camp. What do you think about him so far?
With Hudson is a guy that could play all five position, both corners, the nickel position, or either safety. From his intelligence, he gets guys lined up. He can cover. He's progressing as well.
Called the nickel spot the hog the other day, so I guess y'all are using them both. But who at that position has risen up? I mean, we see Jalen Lewis with the ones, but can you tell us about that spot a little?
The hog position, yes, J. Lou has been having a really good fall camp. So some other guys, we're in a position at the hog. We also have AJ Brathwaite. That's a guy I failed to mention when we talked about the hog. Talk about new guys, which he's been impressive. Also, we got Jabray Shaw, another new guy at hog. We have some guys there. We rolling them out in and out, as we say. We still early in camp, trying to figure it out, but those guys are doing well.
Do you work more with the corners and the nickels, or how do you and Marcus do this?
I knew that would probably be a question. So, to answer the question, so we meet as a secondary all together. Sometimes he runs the meeting, sometimes I run the meeting. Sometimes we split up, because the reason we run it together, because we all want one voice, whether it's his voice or my voice, which if it's his voice, it is my voice. If it's my voice, it is his voice, because we're on the same page. At times we split up, where I may take the corners and he may take the safeties, and vice versa. So we work as one, make sure we always on the same page, no matter reason for doing it. Let's say he's upstairs and I'm downstairs on the game. Everybody's used to hearing that one voice, or vice versa. If I'm upstairs and he's downstairs, everybody used to hearing that one voice, and we all on the same page. Nah, we hadn't had the first scrimmage yet, so we don't have it ironed out yet.
Dwight last year, he had a pretty good season. Then in the bowl game, I think he got defensive MVP, McLaughlin. Just how does he look in the spring? We didn't get to talk to you in the spring, so how do you do in the spring and then the first 3 or 4 practices this preseason?
Dwight has had in the spring. He had a good spring. He's having a great camp. With Dwight, special talent. He's coming along as a leader, being more vocal, holding himself accountable, then holding other guys accountable. Started in the spring, progressively got better throughout the summer, and then after the summer, he's continuing to do it throughout this fall camp.
And transfers where they come in the first year and they're kind of don't want to step on anyone's toes, just trying to fit in the next year, the ones that have more than 1 year of eligibility that take on more of a leadership role. You see that is that pretty common with transfer?
The transfer portal is probably what 3 or 4 years old right now. So we all figuring it out. But yes, it's typical. You're going to a new environment and you don't want to step on anyone's toes. And then now you get a little bit more comfortable. The second year, you've been through a spring, you've been through a fall camp, and they know you better, and it naturally starts to happen.
I mean, Landon Jackson they were talking about Landon Jackson being that way the other day. It's like I brought that up. Just, he came in the same time he did.
Mm.
Coach, I just had a couple of terminology deals. So you call it boundary corner, boundary safety. You call it field corner on the other side, and
Yes, sir.
you call it field safety or free safety?
Free safety.
Free safety.
Mhm.
Are you flipping those guys? Are you flipping them play to play?
Honestly, it depends on the defensive scheme that we have in. It depends on the defensive scheme. So
Okay. I mean, I just think with like offenses hurrying up, sometimes it might be hard to flip corners and stuff like that.
yeah, of course you game plan for all those type of things.
So you guys are 4 practices in, you go until Wednesday and you take some time off. Is there any thoughts to like maybe switching some things up, trying some guys at different spots, maybe a corner to a nickel or safety to nickel or corner to safety, any of that kind of stuff?
Of course, that always happens because you put in dime packages, you put in quarter packages, and you have to find the best 5 or the best 6 when you talk about dime. So you're always trying to figure out, let's always get the best 5 or 6 on the field together. And so you could put the best, you could put your best foot forward.
RJ Johnson and Christian Ford, are they safeties?
They're safeties, yes.
So just by my count, I think you got like 9 players working over at cornerback. And so that would put like what 18 guys over at safety nickel. Is that about the ratio you want? Or
so Coach Pittman, like even at practice, he does a good job of we have something called 2-spot, and it worked for us again because we have 2 full-time secondary coaches, and we split the secondary up. One go on this field, so and that always mix and match. It helps with the development of the team, right? Because everybody's getting reps. If we always had one field, well, of course, people are watching and not learning. And through my experience playing and coaching, the best way to learn is by doing it. So when I'm making the mistakes or I'm doing it the correct way as a player, I am feeling it and seeing it's like, oh, I got it. Oh yeah, coach, I see what you're saying.
I know you were here last year, Hudson. A lot of times he was in the right spot, but he had trouble, making a tackle. Sam talked about that the other day. He's added about 12 pounds. I know you guys aren't tackling to the ground yet in practice. What have you seen from Hudson with that weight? Maybe if you looked at film last year, how he might be different.
Hudson is playing stronger. He has gained weight and corrected some technique errors within tackling. He has gotten better with angles to the ball. We always talk about near footing it, near shoulder. He has gotten a lot better with that.
And then, obviously, we all know pass defense was an issue last year. You got to look at the stats. I know it's early, spring and a few fall camp, but what sense do you have about how the pass defense is going to be improved and why?
One way we plan to improve it is within the camaraderie and making we meet all together, because one issue that you see around the country, not specifically last year here, but around the country, period, if you have issues within a pass game, busted coverages, is because of communication. All right. And that's the reason we do the things that we do, myself and Coach Woodson, having guys together and hearing both voices. So now communication is not an issue. Pursuit to the ball is not an issue. That's 2 ways. Communication, not busting. One way, communication, not busting coverages and getting to the ball.
Arkansas has gone to 4 down linemen. Obviously, do you like that better as a secondary coach?
That probably would be a question for Coach T. Will. Whatever coach wants to do, I'm with it. If it's 4 down, if it's 3 down, if it's just 3-3-5, whatever it is, I'm all for it. I support my coordinator. I support my head coaching, whatever it is.
That's where you weren't here, but 131 out of 131 last year in passing yards surrendered on defense. Did you know that when you took the job? And what's kind of been the thought with you guys, you and Coach Woodson and Coach Williams, just about turning that thing around? Because Coach Woodson, I know when he got to Florida State, one of the worst pass defenses in the country the year before, and last year I think they were 4th nationally.
Myself, Coach Woodson, and the guys, we embrace the challenge. we embrace the challenge and becoming better. We're always hard on them. Don't let up, and the standard is the standard. What that expectation is, don't lower it. We always talk about, we don't talking 110%. We're talking 100%. We want your best to be your best, not 95. We want it to be at 100% every single day.
Talked a little bit about some of the transfers. We know a lot about Lorando Johnson because he was here. But could you touch a little bit more on Keon Stewart, what he brings to the table, and AJ Brathwaite, what kind of role you might see for him also?
Both of those guys, Keon and AJ, bring something to the table with their vets. They have a lot of snaps under their belt. Keon played as a true freshman, started as a true freshman at TCU. AJ started the last school he was at. So with that being said, they bring veteran leadership, game experience, and game experience is the best experience you could have when you're talking about 80,000 people, 60,000 people, however many it is. It's a little different when you're a true freshman and you made some mistakes. You can be a good player, but you still make mistakes. And now those mistakes, when you're older, like, oh, I remember that play from last year. So they definitely bring some veteran mentality and snaps being played to our defensive backfield.
I feel like you kind of hit on it right there, but when you were adding these guys in the transfer portal, what exactly were you looking for in the guys?
The first thing we look for is a fit, right? Would they fit our room? Could they fit in with the guys? Could they meet the standard of a expectation is 100% every single day? The next thing when we were looking like, okay, we do need some older guys. Or if we had a young guy that was a really good high school player or older guy that made plays in college, that's the two things that we're looking for.
A couple older guys, Ladarius Bishop and Malik Chavis, just what are you seeing from them so far?
Oh, they're having great camps as well. Malik is having a really good camp. Communication, getting to the ball, tackling, covering. Malik is doing well, and Day he's progressing with technique things and embracing the challenge as well to get better. So is the group.
Jalen Braxton, what is it about his skill set that you guys like that he's in the two deep at corner?
Jalen Braxton can fly. He has really good change of direction. He's a guy, he's mature, and he wants to be a really good player. He has all the potential in the world. He has a shot to be a good player in this conference, a really good player in this conference.
With us, Sam Pittman has floated the idea a couple of times about if you feel like you're good enough at corner, that maybe one of those guys can go over and help at hog/nickel. And he's brought up Snacks' name. How has that progressed any further yet?
Yes, he's been playing a little hog, but our mindset for the secondary period is kind of like get the best five on the field. And that's what the head coach mindset is in meetings. Like, hey, who's the best five? Let's get the best five on the field so we can put our best foot forward. You don't want to have one of your better guys on the bench because he's stacked behind, whether it's a safety or he's stacked behind a corner. Let's get the best five on the field.
Recruiting question. You spent time San Antonio. You got obviously ties to Louisiana, spent time at Florida last year. What do you view your role as a recruiter, like territorial, and what do you think makes a good recruiter?
The thing that I feel as though make a good recruiter is relationships. So with anything, when you get the initial contact, you're not asking them to trust you. Just want to hear for them to listen to you. And now the relationship and be who you are, say who you are, right? So if I say one thing and doing something opposite, it's not matching, right? So always be true to who you are and stay consistent. Do what you say you're going to do, all right? From the aspect of area, so again, I did spend time in Texas. I spent time by birth in Louisiana and also worked at a school in Louisiana. But so that does help from a relationship standpoint, knowing people from a high school area standpoint, coaches.
Your area is pretty much Texas, Louisiana as prime recruiting areas for you.
I view my area wherever Coach Sam Pittman says it is to go get a defensive back.
You to the other side of the ball, obviously you see these wide receivers quite a bit. Is there anybody that's giving you guys some trouble?
One of the guys that's doing well, I think Armstrong. He's a good player. Jay Wilson. I always call him my little cousin. And have the same last name. He's doing well. We got a pretty good group of receivers. I don't think a specific guy, but I know the group is doing well.
What are the differences or improvements that you've seen in Nudi's play from spring until now? And then what did you see in his offseason work?
I think Nudie is straining more, getting to the ball from a technique standpoint. He is getting better, the different things that we talk about and work on. And I think he's trying to get better, whether it's at home, whether it's in a weight room, or at practice. He's asking educated questions on what he should do in certain situations. I think Nudie is the white is coming along.
Looks like it's pretty competitive in practice between the receivers and the DBs. That's always good because if one unit's whipping the other consistently, that's not good. But what have you seen, just in these first few practices between the receivers and the DBs, the competition and stuff?
Oh, exactly what you say. It's competition every day. All right. And when you talk competition every day, it is a problem if you just, which hopefully it would transition to translating the game if we're just dominating them every day. But it's good. They're making plays. We're making plays. And that happens. We're on day 4. We want to get to a point, hopefully, where we're making all of the plays. But at the end of the day, we're still a team. We're all together.
You're making all the plays. That's not good, though, is it?
Right.
I mean, for the SEC schedule. I mean, and then Nudie, we asked him. I don't know how much consideration he gave to maybe coming out for the draft, but I'm sure it was a thought anyway. I would think it's good to see played. Having a guy like him back who's got SEC experience at 2 schools and is going to his second year here. How big was that, do you think, in retrospect?
It's similar to the conversation we had about the last guys, getting guys that have game rep experience. So when he came in, of course, he came in from another school with game rep experience, and he is again continue to develop and making plays and doing well.